When you hear the word assassin, what comes to mind? Chaotic explosions straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster? A sniper hidden on a dark rooftop? Or a cold-blooded killer striking at random? But in the real world of intelligence, the greatest assassins never created senseless chaos. To them, assassination was never about mere killing. It was an art form. The art of absolute patience, the art of psychological manipulation, and a single, silent strike that alters the course of history without leaving a single trace.
Today, we aren't exploring the virtual world of Assassin's Creed. We are stepping into real history to decode the mind of a man dubbed the father of modern assassination, the mastermind behind some of the most jaw-dropping covert operations of the 20th century, Mike Harari. If you had crossed paths with Mike Harari on the streets of Europe in the 1970s, you would have thought he was a wealthy Italian businessman, a polished diplomat, or perhaps an architect on vacation. He was multilingual, impeccably mannered, and possessed a terrifyingly cold intellect. But behind this flawless veneer, Mike Harari was the head of Caesarea, the elite operational branch of Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence agency. This was the birthplace of Kidon, a highly secretive unit specialized in targeted eliminations. Harari wasn't a muscle-bound hitman. He was an architect of flawless execution.
To Harari, an assassin's ultimate weapon was never a bullet. It was intellect and time. He elevated targeted killings into a psychological chess match where he was always 3 moves ahead of his target.
To execute his vision, Harari perfected a legendary hit squad model consisting of 12 to 15 operatives divided into highly specialized cells that operated in total isolation from one another. First came Cell Ion, surveillance. They were the backbone of the operation, shadows that tracked the target 24/7 to map out their routine down to the exact second. Next was Cell Het, logistics, tasked with renting safe houses, securing vehicles, and weaving flawless cover identities. Cell Bet acted as the extraction and protection unit. And finally, Cell Aleph, the executioners, whose only job was to pull the trigger. Harari's golden rule was absolute. These cells worked on the same mission, but they never knew each other's real identities. If one operative was captured, the rest of the structure remained completely intact. His goal was to deliver a silent message. When the target dropped dead, rival organizations would know exactly who did it, but the world's police would find absolutely no fingerprints to prove it.
The ultimate test of Harari's career came after the 1972 Munich Olympics, where the terrorist group Black September murdered Israeli athletes. In response, Prime Minister Golda Meir launched the retaliatory campaign, Operation Wrath of God. Harari's primary target was Ali Hassan Salameh, the cunning mastermind protected by a fortress of bodyguards and armored cars. Rather than attacking head-on, Harari deployed a female operative named Erica Chambers to Beirut under the guise of an eccentric bohemian painter. Day after day, Erica sat on her balcony painting landscapes directly in Salameh's daily line of sight. For months, the target walked past her, seeing her every single day. His psychological defense mechanism naturally cataloged her as part of the harmless background scenery. This was Harari's ultimate rule: turn the assassin's presence into the enemy's daily routine.
January 22nd, 1979. Salameh stepped into his Chevrolet, completely relaxed. From her balcony, Erica looked down. In her hand was a remote detonator linked to a Volkswagen packed with plastic explosives parked along his path. Erica pressed the button. Boom. The blast tore the street apart, neutralizing the target. That very night, Harari's entire team vanished from Lebanon like phantoms, leaving the local police with absolutely nothing to trace.
If you think Mike Harari's legacy is limited to neutralizing a few high-profile targets, you are only looking at the tip of the iceberg. Harari's greatest achievement wasn't the targets he eliminated. It was the fact that he completely rewrote the global textbook on espionage and covert operations. Before Harari, major intelligence agencies like the CIA or Britain's MI6 operated primarily on a reactive model, gathering data and responding only after a crisis erupted. Harari turned this upside down by inventing the blueprint for proactive active measures. His decentralized cell structure and the concept of deep cover legends became the gold standard that every Western special operations unit, from the US to Europe, would later clone and study. He proved to the global intelligence community that to take down an untouchable target, you don't need high-profile, chaotic gunfights that trigger media backlashes. Instead, the ultimate weapon is calculated suffocation. You choke their financial supply, sever their logistical routes, neutralize their inner circle, and strip away their sense of security long before you ever take their life. Today, when modern counterterrorism units hunt down high-value targets globally, they are still operating strictly under the psychological isolation playbook engineered by Mike Harari.
The most profound impact Mike Harari had on global intelligence was a revolution of perception. He completely decoupled the concept of assassination from the concept of violence. Before his era, an operational agent was defined by marksmanship, physical combat, and reckless bravado. Harari shattered this standard. He transformed the assassin into a behavioral psychologist, a social anatomist. Harari taught the global intelligence community that a true master of shadows does not look at the target's physical defenses, not the high walls, the armored cars, or the heavily armed guards. Instead, they examine the psychological space surrounding the target. It sounds paradoxical, but to eliminate an untouchable target without a trace, Harari required his operatives to understand the prey better than the prey understood themselves. You must know what they eat, what they fear when they wake up at night, and most importantly, which habits make them feel the safest. This exact doctrine of weaponizing routine laid the conceptual foundation for today's biophysical and cyber-targeted operations. When modern agencies hack into a smartphone, track a target through a smartwatch, or orchestrate a remote malfunction in an autonomous vehicle, they aren't just using high technology. They are executing Harari's core philosophy, turning the target's most familiar comforts into the Grim Reaper's blade. To Harari, invisibility was never about hiding in a dark alley or wearing a mask. The ultimate invisibility is standing in plain, obvious sight, right in front of everyone, while their brains automatically delete you from their threat assessment.
Today, when modern counterterrorism units hunt down high-value targets globally, they are still operating strictly under the psychological isolation playbook engineered by Mike Harari. Mike Harari passed away in 2014 at the age of 87, taking his deepest secrets to the grave. Upon his passing, a former director of Mossad stated, "Most of what Mike Harari did for this nation will never be allowed to be published." He proved a timeless truth of the modern era. The most dangerous operative isn't the one with the loudest weapon. It's the one who controls the information, commands absolute patience, and possesses the terrifying ability to become entirely invisible right before the enemy's eyes. What do you think about the clinical execution and flawless tradecraft of the master of shadows, Mike Harari? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into history's secret archives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.